Thomas Mahler finally speaks out, confirming No Rest for the Wicked's team is deep into co op development and teasing a brand new combat system that could completely change how fights feel. We're talking faster feedback, more satisfying hits, and possibly the next big update before the year ends. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Into the Wicked. Today, we're diving into everything Thomas revealed, from this new action notification system that could redefine combat to what his messages might be hinting at for the co op release window now that we've entered Q4. So, you may ask, what is the update? Well, Thomas said that the team has been laser focused on perfecting systems and prepping for the co op launch. He also said they're improving everything that there is while also developing something new he calls an action notification system. Now, this isn't a traditional combat mechanic. It's designed to make combat feel better. Think clearer feedback when you land a perfect dodge, a fatal strike, or pull off a precise counter. Those moments that make fights more alive. He compared it to what fighting games do, rewarding precision through feedback rather than stacking more damage multipliers. So instead of chasing numbers, it's about making every action feel deliberate and satisfying. So, naturally, whenever something new like this gets mentioned, the community had questions, especially about whether this system would actually affect damage. One player asked Thomas directly if this new action notification system would introduce combo bonuses or increase damage based on performance. Here is how Thomas responded. Thomas said, it could, but that should really be handled through enchantments, class traits, and other systems instead. So this is huge. It means the system isn't about raw damage, but about feel. He wants to keep gameplay readable and clean while letting enchantments and traits handle the power fantasy side of things. It's a refined decision choice. Fewer overlapping systems means more meaningful feedback. Speaking of feedback, after that, the chat lit up with opinions coming from the same person. He suggested that this kind of feedback system might work better for boss fights rather than normal mobs, making key moments feel heavier and even more cinematic. Another individual also pointed out that a visual or sound cue at the end of a combo could create that dopamine hit without cluttering the screen, as long as it's done tastefully. Thomas actually responded to that too, acknowledging the concern about UI clutter and said they're discussing internally how to make it feel satisfying without being spammy. But let me digress. If there was one comment that really caught my attention, one player mentioned that if spammy effects are the concern, maybe the devs could make it a toggle option in the UI. They even suggested something more subtle, like a spark or a flash directly on the character when you pull off a perfect dodge. To me, that's such a good take because it keeps feedback tied to your actions, not the screen. It's personal, it's reactive, and it wouldn't break immersion, especially since No Rest for the Wicked isn't a fighting game where constant pop ups make sense. But that being said, let's segue into another update. Here's where things get even more interesting. Thomas posted another quick update. We're just hard at work on the co op update. It's not too far out, but we still need to ensure stability and that all interaction players expect are there. And then some. The last part, not too far out, is huge. It confirms the co-op update is the final stretch. The team's focus is now on stability and polish, meaning they're likely done with major features, which is exactly what you want to hear from a dev team that's finishing up, not starting fresh. The excitement is clearly building behind the scenes, and this could be the calm before a very big drop. So, if I were to give out any predictions on what's next, with this kind of language and the devs already refining the systems behind the scenes, I'm predicting a late Q4 co op rollout. That could mean a December drop or possibly a November preview or closed test if things move quickly. This timing also lines up perfectly with their 1.0 roadmap: deliver co op, refine the combat feel, and enter the next phase of content expansions. So, furthermore, here is my take and my thought process on all this. What Thomas is describing here isn't just a small tweak. This is a shift of how the game communicates with players. The action notification system might sound simple, just visual or sound feedback, but in a game like No Rest for the Wicked, that kind of refinement changes everything. If you played long enough, you know how chaotic combat can get. Between infection effects and enemy crowd control, it's easy to lose track of what's actually happening. What this system does is bring back that clarity. You'll feel when you land a perfect dodge. You'll hear when you chain a combo cleanly. It's that kind of sensory feedback that creates flow. That moment where combat feels smooth, reactive, and the most important, rewarding. And that's what we love. And it's interesting that Thomas referenced fighting games because that tells us how he's thinking. He's not trying to make Wicked more like a Souls game with rigid timing and punishing inputs. He's making it more expressive. He wants each action to carry weight and personality, not just the numbers. That's a bold direction, and one that can give No Rest for the Wicked its own identity and a genre full of imitators. And speaking of direction, just days before this, Thomas dropped another update on X, confirming that the core tech team has already upgraded their network engine and prep for co op. He even mentioned that the devs have been playing co op internally, adding new ways for players to interact and improve the backend to make content creation faster for future updates. That's massive. And it's not just polish anymore, it's momentum. They're literally testing co op in house, fine tuning systems, and making sure workflows are fast enough to deliver more content post launch. It's the clearest sign yet that No Rest for the Wicked is entering its most stable and feature complete phase yet. Now, what makes this even more exciting is the timing. The fact that this system is being finalized alongside co op tells me something. They're designing around team synergy. Visual clarity isn't just about solo play. It's about readability. When multiple players are on that screen, if two or three people are fighting side by side, those notifications and effects need to communicate who did what, when a parry landed, when an execute triggered, and do without overwhelming the player, which is not just about being polished. That's intentional design. It shows that thinking beyond early access, preparing for a version of Wicked that's built to last, with co op combat that feels natural, precise, and deeply satisfying. So, yeah, if the team nails this balance, they're not just improving combat feedback, they're laying the groundwork for how No Rest for the Wicked will feel for years to come. And that's what gets me most excited. And when a game starts focusing on feel, that's usually the sign it's getting close to being the game the devs always envisioned. But now I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think? Should the action notifications stay subtle and cinematic, or should it evolve into something more interactive for bosses and co op fights? And when do you think the co op update drops? November, December, early next year? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear your predictions. This has been Into the Wicked. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more dev updates, guides, and gameplay for No Rest for the Wicked. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.